Listen, you hit a wall. That big dream did not pan out, or life took an unexpected turn, leaving you feeling utterly defeated. But what if that weariness, that feeling of failure, is actually the universe nudging you towards your greatest transformation? What if your biggest failures are not setbacks, but precisely what you need to finally become your truest self? Imagine each failure is not a closed door, but a shattered mirror, and in every broken piece, a part of yourself you never knew was missing is reflected back at you. This is not a video about positive thinking. It is about a radical new perspective on the setbacks in the second half of life. It is about turning every perceived failure into a stepping stone for authentic self-reclamation and unlocking a well of inner wisdom you never knew you had. This is where the real work begins. So why does it hurt so much more now? Why does a setback at 50 feel so much heavier than a stumble at 25? Because a youthful stumble is a lesson. A midlife failure feels like a verdict. For decades, society hands us an invisible report card. And by this stage of life, we are expected to have a perfect score. The stable career, the perfect family, the secure future. Anything less feels like a deep personal failing. And you have spent decades building an identity around that dream. The successful professional, the devoted partner, the capable woman who had it all figured out. But when the dream collapses, the identity you built upon it shatters too. So the grief is not just for what you lost, it is a crisis of the self. The terrifying question whispers, if I am not that, then who am I? But here's the radical idea I promised you. Disappointment is not a roadblock. It is an earthquake. It is violent. It shatters the familiar landscape, but it also reveals what was hidden beneath the surface. It shows you what was truly solid and what was just a facade all along. It is a painful but powerful invitation to look at the bedrock of who you truly are. So what are these hidden parts of ourselves that are suddenly exposed in the rebel? What is this shadow that the earthquake reveals? That is the excavation we begin next. So we stand in the rubble, and in the dust of our disappointment, a powerful truth is revealed. This is the heart of shadow work. This is not a trial to determine fault. It is an archaeological dig into the self. It is the courageous act of integrating the disowned parts of ourselves, the very parts we unknowingly project onto our failures. And here is the critical reframe. The failure did not create the shadow. It simply provided the perfect, painful spotlight to finally see it. That career that ended abruptly? Perhaps it is illuminating a disowned ambition you were taught was too much, or a deep need for creative freedom your safe job was suffocating. That relationship that fractured? Maybe it is the mirror for a need for solitude you never allowed yourself, or a fierce independence you were told was unfeminine. Even a health challenge can be a shadow call, a desperate plea from your body to acknowledge a lifetime of self-neglect you disguised as strength. So, the next time the voice of self-blame says, "I failed because I was not good enough," ask a different question. What disowned part of me is this failure asking me to finally meet? Now, this excavation is not easy. It brings with it an immediate emotional toll, exhaustion, self-blame, the feeling of being stuck. But how do we transform that very weariness from a dead weight into the fuel for our wisdom? That is the alchemy we will explore next. The alchemy begins with a single, profound shift in perspective. Right now, the weariness feels like a heavy blanket. The self-blame is a relentless voice. It feels like you are stuck in a deep rut with no way out. And this is where most people stop. They mistake the emotional toll for the final destination. But here is the secret to the alchemy. You are not a victim in this story. You are the detective. And your failure is not the end of the story. It is the first clue. You stop seeing the setback as a verdict on your worth, and you start seeing it as a piece of data, a data point that is pointing you towards a deeper truth about yourself. This shift transforms the draining energy of shame into the vibrant, energetic curiosity of a detective on the trail. Think of the entrepreneur whose business failed. The verdict is, I am not a good leader, but the clue might be, my real genius is not in management, but in pure creation. That single reframe did not just save her from despair, it launched her next truly authentic venture. This is how weariness becomes wisdom. You stop fighting the evidence and you start following it. But how do you actually do that in practice? How do you sit with the uncomfortable clues without getting overwhelmed? That is where we find our practical tools. So, you have become the detective. But this is not a crime scene you are investigating. It is a sacred site, and it requires sacred tools. You begin with our first liberation spell, the Journal of Unseen Truths. Tonight, I want you to ask your disappointment one powerful question. Write it down and answer it without judgment. The question is this: what is this failure protecting me from? It is a strange question, I know, but often a failure is the shadow's way of protecting you from a path that was not truly yours. Perhaps it protected you from the burnout of a success that would have cost you your soul. The second tool is a visualization. For a lifetime, you have put your failures on trial in the harsh courtroom of self-judgment. I want you to change the venue. Close your eyes, and instead of a courtroom, picture a quiet library. Your failure is not a criminal on trial. It is an ancient, dusty book, and you are not the judge. You are the gentle librarian, simply opening the book with curiosity, ready to learn its hidden story. This is the heart of acceptance. It is not surrender. It is a courageous willingness to read the book of your own life as it is written. But once you begin this excavation, once you start to read these hidden chapters, what is the self that you uncover? What does she look like? That is the authentic woman we will meet next. This was never about simply bouncing back. Bouncing back implies you return to the person you were before. This journey is about something far more profound. It is about integration. The woman who emerges from this work is not the one who avoided failure. She is the one who had the courage to read the book of her own disappointment and integrate its wisdom. She is more authentic, more resilient, more deeply wise. She has transformed her greatest setbacks into the very foundation of her strength. So I invite you now to claim this wisdom as your own, to make a quiet declaration in the comments below. Simply write the words, "I am finding the wisdom." It is a powerful first step in honoring your entire journey. And as you find the wisdom in what failed, it often leads to a deeper question. What about the paths you chose not out of desire, but out of duty? What if the noble sacrifices you have made your entire life are actually holding you captive? That is the shadow we will explore together in our next journey.